In this episode of Rogue Agent Radio, we discuss the latest Q&A video posted by Massive featuring the weapon customization and abilities menus, as well as answer some listener mail concerning companion apps. Then finally, the M249 saw gets the spotlight in the weapon review. So sit down, strap in, and get ready to enter the Dark Zone.
Rogue protocol initiated.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Rogue Agent Radio, Episode 8. I'm one of your hosts, Boomslang. Joining me, as always, is the Master of Management, Deep Fried Dave. What's going on, Dave?
Having a great day, man. It's middle of November, and it's 65 degrees out in Indiana, which is quite a feat. And I have 2 racks of baby backs in the smoker, ready to go.
Yeah, sounds like a good weekend. I love fall.
Marinating in the smoke right now. Yes. And best of all, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I'm super stoked. In the third passenger seat of this garbage truck on fire, we have the rock star of gaming, Blessed Doom. What's going on, Doom?
Oh man, I am still stunned after last night watching the UFC pay-per-view. I know you guys talk about football and baseball a little bit, but I'm a big UFC fan. Mm-hmm. And last night was probably
it was a shocker.
The biggest upset of combat sports of all time. Freaking Ronda Rousey got hit with a bolt of lightning from Holly Holm and just got knocked out.
I saw like a gif of it today when she got kicked in the side of the neck. I was like, dang.
It was crazy. But the whole fight, I mean, it was probably one of the most one-sided fights I've ever seen. And I have no issue with Ronda Rousey. Like, I'm not a huge fan, but I know how good she is, and she usually just dominates the other fighters. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the most one-sided UFC fights I've ever seen. Like, really? Holly Holm just steamrolled her.
That's crazy. How many rounds does it last normally?
Well, I mean, a championship fight is 5 rounds, but I think, if I remember, man, it was all such a blur. I think it was either in the second or the beginning of the third round that it went into. Mm-hmm. And I got to go back and check because we just couldn't believe what happened.
Wow.
And
I remember like the last fight that Rousey was in, she beat the other girl in like 30 seconds or something like that.
I think it was like 15 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Yeah, it was crazy.
Super fast. But Holly Holm is a champion kickboxer, and Ronda hasn't really had to face somebody with that level of skill yet, I don't think. Mm-hmm. I mean, man, it was ugly.
The kickboxing came out with that one last kick, so it was pretty intense.
Yeah, it's like she got shot with a sniper rifle. She just went down.
Yeah.
Man.
So what have you guys been up to this last week? What kind of games have you been into, Dave?
Oh, a little bit of the usual, really. Was out of town for a few days on travel, so just got home in time to gear up for the trials this weekend, and got smoked. We call the fifth win the Lamp Shack. In Destiny, the Trials of Osiris. If you get to 9-0, it's the Lighthouse. So
right.
we go for 5 wins, the Lamp Shack, and we got one. We got to the Lamp Shack once.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat. I actually haven't put Destiny in my console in probably a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks. I've been playing a lot of Black Ops. Actually, I went and picked it up, like I said in the last episode, and got into the multiplayer after I did some of the zombies and stuff. Holy cow, it is a lot of fun. It brings back a lot of memories of the good old days of Call of Duty, at least in my opinion. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, saying, it's just another Call of Duty or whatever, but I've been thoroughly enjoying it. Been doing pretty good too. Like, play Team Deathmatch pretty much exclusively because a lot of people don't play with me, and I like playing the more team-oriented modes like Domination and Search and Destroy or whatever with a team so you can communicate. But I've been going in there, and pretty much every round I'd have like a 2.5 kill death ratio or something like that. There was one night I literally went I played probably 15 rounds, and I think I only lost twice. And by losing, that means I didn't place in first.
Hack.
I did not. I was like, what is going on? And then I got on today and I didn't do so good. It's like, okay, I'm going to turn this off before I get frustrated. So
That's pretty good though.
yeah, it's fun. What about you, dude? What have you been doing?
Oh man, I've only put in Destiny long enough to go flawless in trials on Friday.
Ah,
Um, and I had a couple of Resolute members help me out again.
We have a
And,
few of those that are pretty good
yeah.
at the Destiny. So
Yeah, we blew through it. I mean, it was fairly easy. We jumped in right at launch, so
okay.
right as it came. So it was a little bit easier. Everybody was still kind of getting the hang of it again. But besides that, man, Fallout.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. I'm curious about Fallout. Enlighten us.
Yeah, it's every bit of a Fallout game in all of the good ways and all the bad ways. Like if you like the other Fallout games, you're gonna love this one. If you didn't, I mean, it's the same game,
right?
Just a little bit shinier. Some of the mechanics and the stuff in it, they've added some stuff to it. You can tell they took a lot of stuff from Skyrim.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They've your little compass as you're walking around marks all the your points that you can your discoverable points.
Mm-hmm.
The settlement builder, I didn't think I was going to get into it all, but I've been building these gigantic forts.
I saw that fort that you tweeted out the other day. I was like, I wonder how many hours he put into that.
Oh, that one probably only took maybe an hour.
Oh, really?
I just went and started just putting up walls and just banged it out real quick.
Is it pretty intuitive? Like if you just picked it up, it's pretty self-explanatory, or is it really in depth?
It can get in depth, I think. It doesn't really tell you how to do it. You just got to kind of figure it out. You got to figure out what pieces fit together, what items need power. Like you can get a lot more in depth to it than I did.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. But the gun mods, you can modify and build any gun in the game. There are certain skills that are tied to certain things, but
right,
all of the junk that you would normally pick up in all the old Fallout games actually has meaning. You can break it down into materials, build guns, you can modify and build your armor.
Right. I remember them talking about that in their showcase at E3, talking about how the junk is now going to be meaningful. I mean, I've never played a Fallout game, so I didn't know exactly what that meant, but like in other RPGs that I played, you pick up, like a wooden bowl. You're like, well, I guess I don't really need this, but it's cool that they're making those things more valuable.
Yep.
It's kind of like that in The Witcher a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, I'm walking around searching for adhesive like duct tape and glue and anything with copper. Yeah, because there are certain materials that are a little bit more rare than other things. So
it's kind of cool.
I built some pretty crazy guns. I built a badass sniper rifle that I'm just running around Boston, post-apocalyptic Boston, just sniping the crap out of everything. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. The shooting, the gunplay outside of its automated targeting system, just the regular gunplay, is a little bit better than it used to be because it was unusable, in the other games. Like
really?
You couldn't aim down sights and hit anything. It was ridiculous. It's better in this one. It doesn't feel like Destiny. It's not as smooth, but you don't have to use the targeting system if you don't want to.
Okay.
Like I scope pretty much everything that I snipe.
Right.
And it's pretty accurate.
Seems like it'd be kind of fun. I've been trying to decide whether I want to get it or not. I don't think I'm going to, simply because like Call of Duty's keeping me busy. And this Tuesday, Battlefront's launching, and I'll be playing the crap out of Battlefront, I'm sure. Yeah. And then, Christmas is rolling around, and I'm going to be busy with all that. And then, before you know it, in January, we're going to have the beta for The Division. In December, it was going to be the beta, too. I'm hoping to borrow an Xbox. And then in March, it launches. So I don't think I'm going to have enough time to really get everything out of Fallout that I would want to by buying it, because I'm sure I would sink hundreds of hours into it, because that's what I normally do with an RPG. So
yeah, there's so much to do in it, and you can put so many hours, and that's kind of I'm barely even playing the quests. I'm just walking around, going and entering and clearing buildings, killing raiders and super mutants, and
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of going around having fun like that. But it'll be one. I mean, I played Fallout 3 in New Vegas for a long time after they came out. Like when I run out of other games to play, those are what I
go
went
back.
back to.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why I'm hanging on to The Witcher, actually, because I know I'm going to go back and play it eventually. So, anyways, well, that's cool. In case y'all didn't know, Rogue Agent Radio is your base of operations for the Division news extractions, game discussions, and agent trust issues. You can find us on iTunes by searching Rogue Agent Radio, where we will post the show every Monday morning. Subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends, all that good stuff. You can also follow us on Twitter at Rogue Agent Radio for all the latest on the show and up-to-date news on the Division. So, let's begin episode 8 with some listener mail. Mix things up a little bit. Just to let everybody know, you can ask us questions and be on the show by sending your emails to rogueagentradio@gmail.com. Just like Frozen Sticker. He says, Frozen Sticker here, I have a question for you guys. The first one is, do you think that the current factions will fight each other? Thanks, Frozen Sticker. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
I think we'll see it. Yeah. Because, I mean, they're going to be fighting for territory, obviously. And we haven't even seen all the other factions. And I mean, like we talked about, or I've been talking about here recently in like the videos and things that I did, like we'll go into in a little more detail. But I think the JTF, which is supposedly your ally faction, is definitely going to be fighting the enemies, or like the Rikers and the Cleaners and things like that. So what do you think, Dave? Do you think what kind of faction wars do you think you're going to see?
Well, here's what first comes to my mind about this is that I don't know if we dove into factions too much, but the Cleaners, right? So the Cleaners, they just want to get rid of anything and anybody so that they think's infected with the virus, right? So they're just flame throwing everything. I'm guessing they don't discriminate against other enemy factions. So they're not going to say, hey, you Rikers, we're not going to flame you to get rid of the virus you may or may not have. We're buddies.
Right.
So I think the Cleaners are definitely going to be going after everyone that's in the game. So yeah, I think there's going to be some enemy. They might be allied in some way in some of them, but yeah, I think they're going to be after each other. I'm
curious to see if we have any more factions announced, like how many more, if there are going to be any, because that would be. I'm sure there's going to be, but with what we've seen so far, what other kind of enemy factions do you think there will be? If you imagine a post-apocalyptic world, or not post-apocalyptic, but the fall of society, who do you think would rise? I think, right now we just have the Rikers and the Cleaners, right? So the Rikers are escaped inmates, right? Right. So there's got to be something, I would think, that's more localized, that's when society breaks down just in your general society. Maybe it's, thieves or something, or lawyers all get together and form a faction, nothing against lawyers, but, I think there could be something like that within the city, I'm thinking. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I can't really honestly say. I mean, the two factions that we've seen make sense. I don't know who else you would really see. But yeah, definitely going to be some faction wars. At least that's what we think. So the next question is from Tubby02. What's going on, Tubby? Big fan. He says, Tubby. Hi, guys. Great podcast last week. You guys keep smashing it. Oh, thanks. He says, my question is, as Ubisoft has dropped the tablet app, do you think they might have an app not like the drone, but kind of like the Pip-Boy app with inventory, stats, etc.? First off, let me say I am sad that they dropped that app, because that was the one companion app that I thought would be really fun to actually use. I looked at that and I was like, you know what? That would be a ton of fun. Like if I'm, sitting on the pot or whatever, waiting to go, do my business or whatever, I'm going to take a nice bath and sit here and play the Division with my friends. Hey, boom. Would you mind going into it? Because all I know is when I started researching, I just knew right away that they got rid of it. I really don't know what they were trying to achieve. I know it was something like Watchdog-esque where you could actually participate in a game. Is that right? Yeah, it's very similar. Good point bringing that up. The original companion app was an app where you could control an in-game drone, and you could spot enemies out using your iPad, whatever other tablets that are out there. You could spot enemies. It would highlight for people in your squad. You could attack them with missiles or machine guns, different things like that. Just basically not participating completely in the game, but being a vital aspect in it by shooting with the drone, whatever, highlighting, spotting, and things. And they removed it because they said it was too overpowered. I think it was because it was too overpowered in the multiplayer, because people with drones would always win because they had that person spotting them out and launching missiles and doing whatever. So that was the reason that they removed it. I was like, man, if you could balance it, just, say you can't take a drone into the dark zone or something, make some sort of storyline for that. But it's understandable why they would remove it, because I could see, say we go in there with a guy who's watching over our shoulders and spotting everybody out, we would have a huge advantage, there wouldn't be much of a competition at all.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Doom? Do you think there should be a companion app of some sort?
I would like there to be similar to what maybe like Destiny has. I like their companion app where you can manage your inventory and stuff. But the Pip-Boy app for Fallout is really cool. It's actually super useful. I've been using it on my iPhone 6 Plus.
Mm-hmm. How does it work?
Well, it's the Pip-Boy. It's
right.
The straight up Pip-Boy menus, everything. You can bring up your map. You can do any of your item stuff, equip things. You can fast travel using it. You just bring up the map. You double click on or you click and then click again on a point that you've discovered, and you can fast travel to it without even entering your menu in game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, wow. So it interacts directly with your actions. So you can actually companion it while you're playing.
It does everything that the Pip-Boy does, because normally you hit circle to bring up the Pip-Boy in the game, but if you have the companion app open, it does everything that the in-game Pip-Boy does.
That's really cool.
Fantastic.
That's the way people need to do companion apps. We don't need little mini games inside our companion apps to unlock things in the games, like they did with Assassin's Creed Unity. It was fun, but it was kind of frustrating too. Say if you didn't have a phone that could play it, or you just didn't want to play a mini game. It was kind of stupid. So I think they need to do what they did with the Pip-Boy, make it inventory management or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fast travel between your bases. What do you think about being able to swap your skills mid-game?
Yeah.
I think that could be kind of cool. Because, you wouldn't have to bring up your menu. Technically it would give you an advantage, but that might be kind of cool, being able to swap your skills in and out without having to bring up your menu. Technically you would be taken out of the game because you'd have to use your phone while you're doing that, but I don't know.
You're taken out of the game anyway if you have to go into a menu screen. So if you can just have that open, your phone or a tablet or something, and you just have it next to you, it would be the same as looking down at your smartwatch, which, they're if they're not using that in game anymore, but it would be the same thing. Like if you look down and you do something real quick, I've actually, like with the Destiny app, I've gotten really good at one-handing, transferring stuff in the vault while I'm playing, in the middle of something. So it's possible, you know, and it's better than, because I'm assuming that when you go into your menus on the Division, it's probably not going to pause gameplay.
No, I don't think it will, because it's like Destiny; it's always online, so things are going to be going on, and you're going to be in your menu.
Right. So if you can just have that open and you can do things on that while you have the game going, that I would like to see that. That would be cool.
Yeah. That's what they need to do with a companion app. Inventory. What were you saying, Dave?
Oh, no. I'd like to add just something real quick, because I think I don't want to say that people expect it, but I guarantee when I buy a game, that's the first thing I look to see is what's with it. Like I got Halo. I'm like, okay, I want a cool app to sync with this. I want to check my stats and my inventory and look at the maps, and maybe even be able to look at an area that, you just did some recon on, so you can all look at a mission you're getting ready to execute, and kind of look at it, all different things. But, me from on the back end, I really think that it's good for consumers and for their best interest if you do it certain ways that I've seen other ones done, like the Destiny companion app. But there was also a Call of Duty one where, and I mentioned it before, is getting people to the website to see your news and your your wares that you want people to buy. You open that companion app, there's a splash screen. It's going to help you create community. It's going to help you drive revenue from people buying all these things.
Right.
And you're going to provide something to the community. But I will say, I do want a clean game. I want a great experience. So if it takes away from that, at least, I think the very least, I think they should do this anyway, is provide the community with and I don't know the correct terminology here, but give them access to the API they need in order to create their own tools.
Yeah.
And the example is that Destiny tracker. I don't know if either of you've seen this. They give everybody access to anything, right? So as far as Destiny, Activision, Bungie, I'm not sure where that line is, but an example is there's a website called Destiny Trials Report. And I just discovered it. It's fantastic. So if you look at it on your phone, they have a real slick phone. It's not an app, but it's the in between from the app and the website, where you're logging into Destiny Trials Report. And you see, I'm playing against you guys. As soon as you pop up, boom, I put Boomslang in. All of a sudden, it pops up your whole team, all your stats, what weapons you have equipped, what perks you have equipped on your super, which super you're using. Your kill death ratio, your whole your whole last 15 games of trials, how you did.
That's crazy.
Within like 30 seconds. It's because the developers have given the community these types of tools, the API, to create their own things that they can't create. They can't create everything, but if you give people that access, the community will create it for you. So there's two sides to it.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, definitely. So basically, to sum it up, they need to have inventory management, access to the community through the forums, a clan integration with the phone would be really cool.
That'd be awesome.
A mini map, just like a second screen inventory, stuff like that. That would be really cool. I think that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, weather report. That could be where the Doppler is.
That could be cool. Bring up the Doppler radar after you take the news station back. Anyways, let's go ahead and transition into topic of the week / news. The reason we say it's the topic of the week / news is because the news is what we're going to be talking about for the topic of the week, which is they released a new community Q&A video and answered a lot of interesting questions and released new gameplay. So really exciting. What are your guys' first impressions of the gameplay? Doom, you go first.
Whew, man, I'm excited. I'm excited about what they show. I like the menus. I like all the UI stuff that's up there,
isn't it? Shout out to Craig, because he's one of the guys. He's a big a guy I met at E3. He's the UI programmer, developer, something like that. So.
Oh, dude, knocked it out of the park, man.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. Yeah. I love it.
It looks really cool. I'm super excited about it. It's
yeah. So when he pulls the first menu that they showed was the abilities menu in the skills tab. Now, if you guys go and watch the video, you'll be able to visualize it a little bit better, but we're going to try to describe everything so you can kind of get an idea if you don't go watch the video. Basically, when you pull up your menu, you can still see your character and what's going on in the world around you, but you're going to have a user interface pop up, and up on the left side it says abilities, and underneath it has all of your skills or abilities that you can select, and on the top right side it has 3 tabs, and it says skills, talents, and perks, and you can cycle between those with your left and right bumpers, or L1 and R1 on your PlayStation controller. The interesting thing about it is it shows 12 total skills. Now, do you guys think that this is the complete skill or ability set, or do you think we're going to see more? Because I think Marco mentioned it in one of his videos that he said that this might be all the abilities that we have. What do you think, Dave?
I'd like to see more.
Yeah.
I think you're going to talk about what they're doing to what I would call morph each skill. You'll have ability to change that skill, but I would like to see more skills. I'm all right with the number of morphs or changes you can do to each skill, but 12 seems a little shy of what I would like giving the format that they're doing, where they're trying to create a role system where you have a healer, a tank, and a DPS role.
Right.
So I think there should be some more that would help you better define your character, specifically to those classes.
Yeah, I agree. The interesting thing is, like what you said with the modifications, each skill has a base operation and then 3 modifications. And so basically that would, if you just multiply the modifications by the amount of skills, that would give you 36 variants of the skills, kind of. I mean, they're all the same skills, but then they would have 3 different mods. I mean, so there would be a decent amount of variation, but they're still basically all the same skills. So I don't know. I mean, I would like to see more personally. I don't know. I'd have to play it, Maybe this is just what they're showing for the beta, possibly. This is all that you would have for that. Or maybe it is all of it. That's all they think that we would need. I don't know how long it would take to unlock them. I don't know how much it would affect the gameplay. But with an RPG, you would expect it to have a few more skills than this. So,
well, what I'm interested to see is what falls under those other 2 tabs. Talents and perks, and how those all affect each other.
Yeah,
because they haven't really shown anything under those. So have they? I don't think.
This is the first time we've seen. Well, no, we have seen some of the skills menu, but I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that this is the last one. Well, also if you look at the screen, it's right there next to abilities. It has those 3 tabs. So I wonder if there's 3 more screens.
Yeah,
that's possible too. I mean, I know they talked about that, but if you think about it, right now, if you look at it, the skills tab is highlighted, and then you can LB, RB over. So I think that would just highlight those. And if you go down with your cursor or whatever and start scrolling through where it shows the skills, I wonder if that's going to cycle through 3 more pages. So if that's the case, you would have a total of 36 skills, and then however many. Or would it be 36? I don't know how many. It'd be a lot.
Yeah.
How do you, what are some examples of modifications you've seen? And you mentioned that there's 3 modifications per skill that you can unlock. What are some examples of those? I know we talked about it a little bit, but curious to hear what you think.
Yeah. Well, like the Seeker Mind, that's the only one that we can really go off of, as we've seen actual examples of what it does. Say the first modification would be the Seeker Mind just goes out and seeks out someone and then detonates. And then some of the other videos we've seen, the Seeker Mind will roll out, it'll explode, shoot 3 projectiles into the air, then those will explode, and it covers the ground in kind of like a cluster bomb. And then we've seen it go out and sort of act like a flashbang. So it just changes how that base skill acts. Like when we first saw the sticky bomb, when it popped up on the screen, it had its first modification showed like a little pulse scan indicator where it had like waves kind of going out, kind of like a sonar. So that's probably the way it's going to function. When you upgrade that part, you'll shoot it out and it'll act as a mini UAV or something like that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see all the different variations. I just want to know if this is all the skills or not.
Yep, that's a good question.
Even if it is all the skills, I mean, I still think there's probably going to be enough variation to mix things up. So let's talk a little bit about what we see here and what we think there are. I mean, we obviously the ones that are confirmed. We have the sticky bomb. We have the first aid, which is like throwing out a health bomb or whatever, heal your guys. Then you have the pulse scan, which sends out a pulse and highlights everybody. Then you have the Seeker Mine, which does exactly what we just talked about, seeks out enemies. You have the turret, which you can put out, and we've seen some variations of this one too. The turret, it can either shoot out regular bullets, or we've seen it where it turns into a flamethrower. So that's a couple of those modifications for that one. Then we have up here in the top right is the shield, the riot shield that we talked about recently. So you think up here in the very top where it says on the different bars, with the skills inside, it says security, medical, and technology. Do you think that's their way they differentiate the DPS, tank, and the healer?
That's what it seems like to me. So if you're following along, get this picture up. But it's so the 12 skills are in a grid. So it's 4 from columns, 4, 4, 4. And each column, all 4 skills in each column represent 4 for security, 4 for medical, and 4 for technology.
Mhm.
Now, to cross-reference that, so here it looks like a spreadsheet. So
Here we go.
there's a percentage at the header of each of those columns. So security, 10%, call it medical, 40%, call technology, 60%. Okay. So depending on what that percentage is of what you have are those, that's which ones, in my opinion, which ones are unlocked.
Mhm.
So if you looked on the left-hand side per row, it goes 10% for the first row skills, 30% for the second row. Was that 50% for the third row?
Yeah.
So if you have 20% in security, you'd think that first skill is unlocked. Once you reach 30%, the second skill is unlocked. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
So, but it does look like the way they have it lined out. It does look like that it's tank, DPS, healer.
Right.
However, I'm hoping that the modifications will allow you to use most of those skills in, say, if I want to make a healer role, I'm hoping that there's enough modifications on all of those to make them somewhat capable for my role, and not just be stuck with 4 or 5.
Yeah. What's kind of frustrating about this gameplay? I'm glad we got it and everything, but it just gives me more questions. It's like, oh, this is cool. Well, what does this do? And what does this do? And what does this do? It's like, what are these percentages on the left side that you see? 10, 30, 50, 70 in the rows of the skills. What does it exactly? What's it for? And then I don't know. I mean, those who are listening to this, go and look at this video so you can see exactly what we're talking about, and then send in some emails asking, letting us know what you think they're all about, because I think we're all kind of a little in the dark as to exactly what they're doing. Because over here on the right side, top right, it has right there next to the skill, it says skill power. So is that how powerful that skill is, or what does that do? But I don't know. I want to talk about this one skill that is brand new that we've never seen before, and it's the smart cover skill. The description is, it says reinforces a cover, increasing damage and reducing incoming damage for all allies in the cover. So do you guys think that this is basically reinforcing a item inside the world, like a barricade or a box or a wall or something like that? Or do you think it's going to be like an AoE area that if you're standing inside of it, you're going to do more damage and take less damage? It's kind of a lot of questions, isn't it?
That is a tough question. I mean, because based on what it says here, it seems like you're going to reinforce a piece of cover that you're behind.
Yeah, that's what the image seems to show. If someone asks me, what is this image? Well, it shows that a barricade with an arrow.
What it seems like is maybe it's some sort of like a fortify skill or something. So while you're behind this certain area, you increase your damage output and reduce your incoming damage. And so maybe, yeah, that's exactly what it seems like. You just kind of fortify your position or something.
Right. Yeah, I like the fact that all of these stats have attributes on them, and they all talk all the stats.
Man,
stats galore.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I know this one right here, and I'm sure you're going to be able to upgrade these and change these depending on the different pieces of equipment that you have and the level of modifications you have on it. Just to name off a few, I mean, one, it says type, base, and then bonuses, which right there, I mean, bonuses, that would basically tell you if you have equipment that boosts this, by a certain amount of percentages, then that might be where it reads out. But underneath that, it says damage resistance, 40%. Bonuses to that is 0.5%. Damage buff, 20%. Effect range, 8. Lifetime, 20. Deploy range, 30. I bet you that is an AoE because it says effect range.
Yeah.
That's got to be, maybe you can only deploy it on a wall or something, but I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. All this stuff, like, so many questions. Gosh, it's so annoying, but still, it's really awesome. In my video that I did on this, I kind of pointed out the fact that I thought security, medical, and technology would the different roles, but I don't know. I mean, you can't really know for sure. Another interesting thing that I wanted to point out was down at the bottom where it says equipable slots. like equipable ability slots. Everyone knows like the left bumper and the right bumper, depending on whatever console you play on, that activates your skill, giving you a total of 2 abilities that you can have. But if you look in between those, it says LB and RB, like they're combined. So do you guys think that this is giving you this option for a third ability, or is this giving you a special ability, sort of like how Destiny and all the like Call of Duty, all these new games are doing? I mean, it would make sense since everybody's kind of going to that format. So, Dave, what do you think? You think we're going to have special abilities?
I don't know. They really don't have a spot on there to define what it would be. So maybe if they're both charged, maybe if you mix them, if you do them both at the same time, it has like a separate effect. But I think that would be kind of hard to do that,
right?
With every skill doing everything. So it's kind of a question, and I don't know. I mean, it could be as simple as I don't want to assign mine to the left bumper and the right bumper. I want to assign this one to the left bumper and this one to both at the same time because I like to use my right bumper for shooting something.
Right.
So
that's possible. I think this one's the one that's kind of stumped everybody because no one has an answer for it, and there's nothing to really tell you yes or no what it is.
What's confusing about it is in the video, didn't he say that they said that you only equip 2 skills?
Right.
But it says right there, 0 out of 3 equipped. That's what's so confusing to me.
Right. I know. I mean, that's what I don't understand. Maybe this is a glitch, or I don't know. I don't think that would be an error that they would have in the user interface. So
yeah,
I'd like to hear everybody's opinion on it, what they think it could be possibly. Let's see. What else do we have to talk about here? Available. Tells you how many skills that you can have available. Each skill has a let's talk about the newly confirmed weapons that we have. Doom, you watched it. What new guns do we have to play with?
Well, we have, of course, a couple of guns I'm not surprised at all. I knew they were going to show up, but now we finally see them in game. Is the MP5.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that was coming, but to actually see it, everybody can relax. It's there.
Yeah.
And then an enhanced version of the ACR. We already knew the ACR was going to be there, but there's an enhanced ACR-E. So I'm wondering if that's not maybe a, there's the difference between rare and legendary weapons and stuff. I wonder if that's maybe like a higher level version, or if maybe the names just change as you modify them or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's enhanced ACRE. So that's interesting.
It's really I'm really interested to see exactly like, do all the guns have an enhanced version? Are there higher levels of weapons that are not necessarily enhanced? It could be like a elite ACR, whatever. I mean, it's interesting to see the tiered in the name.
It could also be, like a lot of the weapons I've been talking about have different variants.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be just a variant type of the AC.
That's possible.
Because all of the different, all of the guns that I've been talking about are all heavily moddable.
Right.
And so that could be like you're getting a modded or a variant version of the base gun.
Yeah.
So.
Or it could be, it's called enhanced after you put a couple of mods on it.
Right.
You can change it from normal, and then you put mods on it, and now it's enhanced.
Yep. Put a cool paint job or something.
Right.
So then we have the converted SMG9A2. To me, the in-game model of that looks like a KG9, or as more people, more commonly known as a Tech 9. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I'm not 100% sure, but
what is it exactly? Like how would it function in game? What does it do?
It's a small submachine gun, almost like pistol sized.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very, very small submachine gun. Like the MP5 is also a submachine gun, but it's a lot bigger, more to it. I would call it more of a sidearm,
right?
Just a rapid fire sidearm than anything. If it is in fact a Tech 9.
Hey Doom, does the Tech 9 the one that has like an outer portion of the barrel that has like those long like circles in it, so it looks really unique. Am I
Yes.
thinking about that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's got the heat shield.
Heat
on the
shield.
front. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like a pistol, but it has a real long magazine in front of the pistol grip and a trigger well, and then it has the barrel coming out with the heat shield with the circles in it. Yeah, with the circles cut out of the yeah.
Yeah, that's the gun that I used at E3. It was the secondary weapon for the DMR person.
Yeah.
So I had an M14, had the SMG9 or Tech 9, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And then I had my pistol, but I never pulled my pistol out really. I just kept using the DMR and the Tech 9 or the SMG9 to take people out. So I guess they're qualifying it as a sub, like an actual submachine gun and not a sidearm.
Right. I mean, it technically is a submachine gun, but it's just they're really small.
Yeah.
Then next we have the gun that I've been waiting for, the one that I'm the most happy about, and I'm happy that now I get to do a review on it. Hopefully, before that this is going to be in the next weapon poll.
Everybody vote for it.
Yeah, the SOCOM M1A, or in real life, it's called a SOCOM 16. It's a 16-inch barrel version of an M1. I'm very excited about this.
So it's a DMR.
Yes. That's probably what it would be classified under.
Right.
You can snipe with them. You can use it as a battle rifle. It's a 7.62 gun.
Bigger bullet.
Right. I would probably classify it as a DMR. But it's not an assault rifle, but it's not a sniper rifle. It kind of fills a few different roles.
Yeah. What's cool about all of this is the fact that it was all shown in the weapon customization menu. And holy cow. I remember a while back we talked about like what it would be like to customize our guns and what we imagined the menu would look like. I seriously got so excited when I saw that. I know what I'm going to be doing forever in this game. I mean, it's like everything I wanted it, everything. It brings it up.
Exceeded my expectations.
Man. Just all the mod slots and everything. Can you imagine how much customization are going to go into these guns? Sorry, I mean, you can continue talking about the weapons. We'll come back to this though.
Well, yeah, the last one that was confirmed is, I know it's a handgun. I'm having trouble confirming what the real world version of this is, but it's a custom PF45. I think I have an idea of which real world gun this is, but I can't seem to find it. So I have to do a little research and figure out.
We know it's 45 caliber.
Right.
That's all.
So, yeah.
And it's a pistol, right?
Right.
Okay.
So that's I don't have any more information on what that actually is.
Did we know the 1911 was in there before? Or is that newly confirmed too?
I believe that's also newly confirmed.
Yeah.
That's one of those guns you can count on it being there.
Right.
It's pretty standard. But to actually see it, that would probably end up being my primary sidearm.
Yeah.
I love 1911s.
It's definitely going to be my primary. I'm going to go get a sweet camo for it, all black or something, put a silencer on it and everything. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah. Back to the customization. That's kind of our next topic to go over, with the mod slots and everything. What did you guys think of all the mods, Dave? How did you like the mod slot options?
I think they did it fantastic. I mean, I think almost everything what Doom's been preaching, right? So I don't want to speak for you, Doom, but every time you do a weapon review, and I'm listening. Every time you do a weapon review, you keep going over all the ways and things that how you can customize a gun, whether it's the barrel or the sight or whatever it is. It's always part of his weapon review. Mm-hmm. So now when you look at this and you see on most of the primary assault rifles that they've shown, or DMRs or whatever they are, the primaries, they had 4 mod slots.
Yeah.
So seeing all those is just fantastic. So you see, and then all the attributes that go to it. So I don't know if Doom, you want to talk about those mod slots, because I know you're pretty fired up about some of the things that you saw.
Yeah. So the 4 mod slots shown are optics, magazine, your underbarrel, and muzzle, which would be, changing the actual barrel length, or I would imagine that's suppressors, compensators, flash suppressors, that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Underbarrel would be. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to classify as underbarrel, because when I hear underbarrel, I think grenade launchers.
Right.
Or
well, in the picture right here, they have a grip.
Yeah.
So
Right.
That's what it
Okay.
was.
So that's what that would be. Let me pull that back
they
up
could
here.
possibly be flashlights, laser sights,
Right.
shotguns. I don't know.
Flamethrower.
That's true.
Flamethrower,
That's true. Now that I think about my M4 that I used in Iraq, on my underbarrel, I had a Harris bipod, and I had we called them gangster grips. It's a vertical foregrip.
Right.
So yeah, foregrips for stability, bipods for stability. Yeah, probably. Like you said, laser sights, that kind of stuff. Probably not shotguns or grenade launchers.
Yeah.
Sadly.
What's so cool about this, though, is the fact of the stats that go into these things. It's not like, like in Call of Duty or whatever, you slap a sight on it and it changes your accuracy. It may, there's not any numbers that go into it. You just know that if you put a foregrip on it, you're automatically going to be able to control the shots better. These, like, I'm looking at the ACR, it has 3 different sights, and each one has different bonuses to it. Like the level 4, and each one has a level to it too. It's so you can find higher leveled mod slots to put onto your weapons as well. I mean, it's like a true RPG. Like, it's just like right after I finished, The Witcher, this is what I think about, like in The Witcher, the better gear you would find, the more rune slots that you would have. So you would buy a sword, say it had 2 rune stone slots, and you could find these different rune stones, and they would be different levels. You could find like a lesser glyph of Igni, or a greater glyph of Igni, and these things would give you better stats on your weapon. Like if you equip one, and it would give you +2 chance to burn. So you would hit a guy with your sword, and the guy would catch on fire. Or, chance to freeze, chance to stun, chance to poison, all these different stats. So when they showed this video and it showed the optics, I was like, holy crap, this is an RPG. These are all stats that factor into how an RPG plays. Like with the level 4 holo sight, it gives you +2% to optimal range. So that means your gun's going to shoot further. I mean, first off, to read off the stats on all the weapons, it has your DPS, which is your damage per second, your rate, rounds per minute, which is, how fast the gun shoots, and then the magazine size, and tells you how many bullets you have in the magazine. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say every time you put a different mod slot onto it, it's going to change those stats possibly.
Oh, yeah.
And that ties all back to your power scores that we talked about before, because this is what I actually asked this twice trying to get the answer to this, because this is how I hoped it would work. But you going back to your character progression, it goes back to your power scores. So your power scores, if you went to, and I can't remember the name of the 3 power scores, but we'll call the one was attack, I believe. So on the attack power score, it was like a summary. There was 1-page summary in the menus, and that was from the E3 build. That would show you your total critical hit percentage, your total accuracy percentage, your total optimal range. It would show you all these different stats. Now, as I was hoping, this is where it all adds up. So in an RPG like this, if you're saying, I want my character to do a 30% critical hit chance, that's kind of like a measurement that you want to get to for a DPS character.
Right.
This is how you get to it, by getting the suppressor or getting the optical that you want, on there, that's going to give you a higher crit. Those types of things. It's really, you can get really deep into it if you want to. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, that first sight, like you were saying, it has a +2.5% critical hit chance. And then the next sight up above it, that's a level 12. It gives you +15% to accuracy. So like if you're wanting to go for constant headshots or whatever, then that's the sight that you want to equip. I mean, it's just, it's so cool.
So are we thinking that there's also going to be rare and legendary mods? Possibly?
There are
Okay.
actually.
All right,
I'm pretty
cool.
sure that's been confirmed.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm super excited about this, and the other modification that we saw. So if we get +2 for accuracy for certain things, or plus for stability or critical hits, there is also one additional skin slot, so you can put on different paint jobs that I would say would be +5 to badass.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm excited for the different skins and paint jobs. Also,
I wonder
Uh,
if those are going to be tiered as well, as in legendary and things like that. You would think. I mean, considering they're in a
that's
mod slot.
that could be that could be the thing where you show off. Ooh, I did this specific mission, or I
Yeah.
killed this enemy, or
That's a
Right.
good idea.
Yep.
Rewarded.
Yep.
Those are your trophies.
Right.
Mhm.
You did this raid, so you get the pink tiger camo. So
Yeah, the same thing. As if for your clothing or your gear, if you get patches or different colors or whatever, specifically, that would be cool. A way to show off.
Mhm.
Because I love showing off. So
Yeah. And what's cool about this, since it's in third person, you're going to notice what people are wearing more because you're going to be zoomed out a little bit further. You're always looking at characters. I feel like you're able to take the environment in more in a third person game. I don't know why. I just feel, I don't know. I just feel like third person is almost more immersive in some ways.
Yeah, you have a greater FOV in third person field of view, so you see more around you, or at least you feel like you do. So you're seeing more information, and you get to see your character and what like in Destiny. Oh, you put on all this cool armor that you get, but you never really see it unless you're in the tower,
right?
Or unless you go into your menu screen. I want to see all my cool stuff.
Yeah, that's what I like. You're going to be able to see your characters. And speaking of characters, I mean, you get to see some of the different looks of the characters and what they can actually look like, the models and things, and that gets me really excited too because they look freaking awesome. I mean, I cannot wait to get in there and make my character and to start this. I mean, this got me really excited because okay, this is an RPG. There is going to be stuff to get in this game. This is going to be, a ton of fun, basically. I don't know. It just got me that much more excited. I don't know how much more excited I can take. How much I can. I don't know. I'm losing it. Okay. What else do we have to talk about here with the weapons and things? Anything else you guys want to add to it?
I wanted to ask Doom, on those weapons mod stats. I noticed in the suppressor mod, one of the stats on there, one of them is really cool because it's reduced threat. So as we talked about in the old one, another episode that will reduce your level on the threat table. So the tank wouldn't want to use that, but the others would.
Perfect for a healer.
I would say that's reduced aggro gained. Yeah,
yes.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. But the other one, I don't understand it, is suppressor. It says initial bullet stability. That's the.
I wonder if that's as initial would, to me it seems like when you fire your gun, you're going to have better accuracy in bursts because you're going to be able to shoot it. If you're holding the trigger down, then your reticle is just going to spread and spread and spread.
To me, that's to me, that's a fancy way of saying reduced recoil.
Okay.
But you think about it, up there it says in the other stats, it says stability. Why would it say initial bullet stability instead of just stability? You think they're just trying to be fancy with it, or that's just the wording? I mean, this could change too.
Yeah.
So
that is weird. That's a weird way of wording.
Does it have anything to do with range or drop off or anything like that?
That could be. That's a weird wording. I don't know what exactly that could be.
Brings up questions. It says
somebody
all
just
the
fancy
suppressor.
words.
Yeah, it may just be a fancy word for stability. I don't know. A lot of good stuff. Really curious to see what else they show us. I can't wait. I hope they start, showing you how you can customize. I want to see a full model of a character and then just start swapping things in and out on it, so you can see everything, how you can customize your character and all that good stuff.
That's what I'm excited for the YouTube videos to start coming out, where it's here's this weapon with this mod, and here's what it fires like. Now I'm going to switch and aim at the same point on a wall and fire and show you kind of like what Dado does with the Destiny videos a little bit, where he's here's what it does when I equip this perk or I equip this skill or whatever, and here's how it fires. Here's the pattern it fires in. Here's what this does. I'm excited to see somebody do that.
Yeah.
And what you mentioned just on top of that, which we didn't mention, which is really cool, is there's 3D models in there that you can spin. So you can put your mods on your gun. You see it all on the screen there in 3D, and you can rotate it and just look at your badassness of the weapon right on there.
It's all about looking cool. So the last thing that they showed was the actual main menu. Now this could change, this could stay the same. I don't know, but the biggest things to talk about is you can have 4 characters total, kind of like in Destiny. There's a 3-man fire team. In here is 4-man squad, so you can have 4 different characters, whether you swap them out with your friends or whatever. And in the menu, each character shows you what you have equipped, where they are, stuff like that. So before you log in, has all that kind of stuff. Not a whole lot to go over in that right there.
Pretty standard characters.
Yeah. Pretty standard character selection screen.
Yeah, it's nothing super fancy or anything that we need to go too in depth about. So
I mean, it
gives
you
can see your characters,
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
it gives you the information you need, what guns you have, where you are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. Cool black drop. Get to see your character looking all badass.
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna wrap it up for that topic of the week. Let's go ahead and transition into our gun review. Doom, what do we have to talk about this week?
Well, we talked about it a little bit last week, but we're going to do the full review this week. The M249 Squad Automatic Weapon, or SAW.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
gun.
A lot of times it gets incorrectly referred to as the Squad Assault Weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It's Squad Automatic Weapon.
Get it right, people. Jeez.
Yeah. What I didn't realize, it was actually made by the same company that made that makes the SCAR that we talked about last week. It's made by FN. Yeah.
Huh.
I didn't realize that. I used one of these a lot, and didn't know that they made that. So
that's interesting.
But the 249, well, I think they're starting to call them the 249 LMG instead of the SAW now. I don't know. They always want to change it. I don't know. Whenever I was in, it was called the SAW, so that's what I call it.
That's the government for you.
Yeah, they're always trying to, change stuff. You get some new leadership in there, like, oh, I don't like what this is called. We're going to change it to this now.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that happened in my unit in the Army. We'd get a new battalion commander, and he'd completely change our battalion motto and what we said when we saluted. Like, it's like, really, I got to do all this stuff now? I just got used to saying this dumb thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so there's a bunch of stuff on here that's not super interesting. So the weapon was introduced in 1984 after being judged as the most effective of a number of candidate weapons to address the lack of automatic fire in small units. So this was brought in to replace the BAR.
Oh, I know that gun.
Well, it takes the place of the BAR and the M60 and all that kind of stuff. So
right.
So it was introduced in 1984. It provides infantry squads with the heavy volume of fire of a machine gun combined with the accuracy and portability approaching that of a rifle. So it fires a 5.56 round, not a 7.62 like the M60 did. So
okay, so it's a little bit lighter,
a little bit lighter, a little bit more accurate. You don't, like what I said last week, you don't full auto fire these. They're meant for burst fire. If I remember right, it's 5 to 7 round burst fire. You don't just sit there and just full auto it, or you end up having what happened to Marco. No stability. It's just all over the place. You can't control it. And it also fires in a cyclic rate of fire. So if you don't fire it in those 5 to 7 round bursts, it's kind of prone to jamming.
Oh, okay.
So, it's a gas operated and air cooled. It has a quick change barrel, allowing the gunner to rapidly replace an overheated or jammed barrel. So whenever you're firing a lot, it heats up. If it jams, you just switch that barrel out real quick. Just like a lot of the other guns that we've talked about, it comes with 2 barrels.
Sweet.
Yep. So, and it has a folding bipod attached to the near the front of the gun. It's just part of the gun. It locks up into the foregrip, and it can come out You don't have to use it, but it's there. So
I wonder if that's going to be in the game, or if it's going to be, you're going to have unlocks for it like everything else.
Well, yeah, just like all the other guns, the saw can be heavily modded. So we never even used the original version of it. We changed the stock, changed the barrel. We put a vertical foregrip on the front. Sometimes there was a bipod, because most of the time we were using these from the standing position.
Right.
You can also attach it to a tripod or mount it on a vehicle, and then you can fire full auto.
Nice.
Still not really preferred, but just because of the for jamming issues.
Right.
But we shortened them down, by quite a bit, so we could actually enter and clear buildings with them. We would put different optics on them, red dot sights or ARCOGs and stuff like that. So they're heavily moddable from the original, because they were real cumbersome, in their original. The barrel was a little too long. The stock's really weird.
So they had to just fix them by putting different parts on them and everything.
Pretty much. There was a whole initiative a few years ago, or actually it's been a lot of years ago now, to go and retrofit all of them into this different style, so they could be they could be parachuted with all this different stuff. It was a good idea that needed to be fixed, and instead of remaking all of the guns, they just retrofitted them all.
Right.
So,
sweet.
It can be fed from both linked ammunition and your standard like M16 or M4 magazines. It allows the saw gunner to use rifleman's magazines as an emergency source of ammunition in the event that he runs out of linked rounds. However, this will often cause malfunctions where the magazine spring has difficulty feeding the rounds quickly enough. So you can fit a magazine into the side of it, but that is,
it's not recommended.
Not recommended at all. It's cool to be able to do it, but it's probably going to jam because the thing fires so fast that magazine cannot pump those rounds in quick enough. But it's a cool option to have. It was really smart, I think, of them to do that.
Right.
So saws have been seen in every major conflict involving the United States since the invasion of Panama in '89. Soldiers are generally satisfied with the weapon's performance, but there's always been reports of clogging with dirt and sand, just like the M4s and the M16. Also, due to the weight and the age of the weapon, the Marine Corps is now fielding the M27 infantry automatic rifle with plans to partially replace the M249. So the saw is already on its way out. There's a new gun called the M27 IAR that, and I think
I've used that. I think that's in Battlefield 4.
I would.
It might be Battlefield 3.
Yeah, that's going to be the next big automatic rifle for the military.
Yeah.
It's, so the saw's getting up there in age. It's time to get replaced. I mean, they're already looking at replacing all the M4s, with either SCARs or ACRs, that kind of stuff. So it's just getting the money for it and going through the, refitting process.
It's a matter of time, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. They're always. I mean, you saw what happened with all of the camouflage in the military. For years and years and years, we wore woodland camouflage, and then somebody decides, "Ooh, hey, I want to do this digital stuff," and so all of a sudden, everybody's wearing digital. Yeah. And then now every different branch of the armed forces has their own camouflage, and now the Army's trying to change. We're like, "Oh, we don't like digital anymore. Let's go to multicam." It's like, oh man. Can we just pick something and stay with it?
Yeah. But, someone's always going to be changing it, so.
Yeah. So, in '65, the U.S. Army and the Marines' primary machine gun was the M2 Browning, the BAR, and the M60. The M2 was a large caliber, heavy machine gun, usually mounted. Oh no, M2. What am I thinking? M2 Browning. That's the 50 caliber machine gun. That's that's not the BAR. I will talk about the M2 50 cal in depth at some point. I use this one probably more than any other machine gun because it was mounted on my Striker.
Right.
Oh man,
they're a beast.
It is. Yeah, I've seen pictures of them. I think it would be cool if we could have them mounted on our base of operations for defense. If there was, we talked about that a little bit.
Mounted on cool. Doom's back.
Yeah.
Man, even the barrels for those things are super heavy. It's ridiculous. I think I posted a picture on Twitter of me sitting next to one. Those
I think
things
so.
are gigantic, but man, they put out a lot of firepower. So the M60 was more mobile, a more mobile medium range machine gun intended to be carried by the troops to provide heavy automatic fire, but both were very heavy and usually required a crew of at least 2 to operate efficiently. That's why those guns are called crew served weapons. That's what we call them in the Army. Crew served weapons means either, well, M60s, M240s now, because the 240 replaced the 60. But 50 cals, 240s, those are all crew served weapons because it takes more than one person to operate it effectively. So,
Right.
let me skip down through a bunch of this stuff. It's not interesting. So, yes. So, the saw fires from an open bolt and is gas operated. When the trigger's pulled, the bolt and bolt carrier move forward under the power of the recoil spring. A cartridge is stripped from the belt, chambered, and discharged, sending a bullet down the bore. Basically, fires
a bullet.
Yeah. Expanding propellant gases are diverted through a hole in the barrel into the chamber. This pressure moves a piston, providing the energy to extract and eject the spent casing, as well as advance the belt and compress the recoil spring, thus providing subsequent shots. That's basically how belt fire works.
That's everything going over my head.
It fires from an open bolt, basically.
Right.
So, like a lot of the other assault rifles we've talked about, fire from a closed bolt. That's the big thing about the MP5. MP5 is a nail driver. That thing is so accurate because it fires from a closed bolt. It's a smaller round too, but the closed bolt is a lot more accurate. The open bolt, the bolt carrier and bolt just slam forward and fire that bullet. So. Yeah, so that's a bit same thing with a like a Mac 10 or Mac 11, the little small submachine guns. Yeah. Those fire from open bolt. That's why the big chamber in the side, there's a big opening there, and the bolt just slams forward, and that's why those things aren't very accurate at all.
Huh.
So
I never knew that. That's kind of cool.
I've actually fired a Mac 10 with a big silencer and full auto. It's pretty fun. Yeah,
that sounds like that'd be awesome.
So. Tactically, saws are either carried with a maneuvering unit or fired while handheld. Oh, and fired while handheld. I can't read today. I don't know. Anyway, so or they're positioned to remain stationary and provide covering fire for other units. The usual load of ammunition carried for the weapon is 1,000 rounds in 5 200-round belts. Although up to 500 rounds 500 extra rounds generally get loaded into 100-round soft pouches.
Dang.
They're called nut sacks.
All right. I need my nut sacks of ammo. Let's go, boys.
That's what they call them, man. It's weird.
That's hilarious.
Saw gunners carry a lot of ammo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it sounds like they have to because they're constantly providing cover fire for their guys and everything. They're the gunners of the group, and that's kind of how it's going to be in this game too. So
the only guys, I mean, 240 gunners carry a lot of ammo too, but we moved with a lot of saw gunners. I was a mortar guy in the Army, and the saw gunners were always complaining about how heavy their saw was, how heavy the ammo and everything was. So we let them pick up and carry the 60 millimeter mortar because you can fire that handheld, and that's the way we dismounted and walked with it. So you walk with it with a small base plate and the bipod attached. So in case you have to, I could get super deep into mortar fire. You walk with all that stuff attached, and we're like, oh, you think that saw's heavy? Here, pick up this 60 millimeter mortar cannon. And they're like, holy crap, dude, you guys walk with that?
Dang.
It's like, you're complaining about your 1,000 rounds of ammo you're carrying? Here, pick up my assault pack with 11 60 millimeter mortar rounds in it, where each round weighs 9 pounds. I'm carrying 100 pounds of just mortar rounds. Like, here, pick that up. But they're like, okay, we're not going to complain anymore.
We seriously should just have a whole series of you talking about what went on while you were in the military. Because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's not a ton to talk about because most of it's just sitting around.
Yeah.
I mean, I can talk about the weapons or a couple of little things, but most of it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
We just sat around and waited for something to blow up or waited to blow something up. But
sat around, just 100 of us in the middle of a
100 of
terrorist.
Us, man. Probably more like, well, yeah, at our base there might have been 100 of us. When we went out, there was 3 of us.
Really?
When we were dismounted walking through the city in a mortar crew, there was 3 of us.
Wow.
Now the platoons were way out in front of us, but we were kind of sitting back, walking behind them.
Okay.
But we'd go out in maybe a squad or a platoon sized element, which might be 20, 30 guys.
Okay.
We have different ideas of boring. Because that for me, I would not be bored.
Yeah,
be on edge.
Yeah, we did get IED'd at least once a day for every day for a year that we were there. So I can talk about
shook it up a little bit.
It did get boring. It's just like, oh, here we go again. So, no, I hope. I know I'm supposed to be talking about the 249, which that was pretty much all I had to say about that. I mean, it's straight up automatic machine gun. It's
pretty basic.
I hope they put mortars of some sort in there. All I want is a 60 millimeter handheld mortar. They're probably not going to do it, but man, I would love to see it.
I don't know how that would factor into it. That'd be interesting though. Maybe DLC or something one of these days.
Well, yeah, because with the handheld mortar, you don't have to put out aiming poles or anything. You just put a round in it. There's a trigger on it. You set it down. You kind of aim with your thumb, and there's a little range meter in the handle.
Yeah.
You kind of estimate your range, pull the trigger, and it fires the mortar, and then you watch it explode, and then you adjust fire from there.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't think I've seen a game do a handheld mortar system like that.
No,
and
I
think it'd be really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So
anyway.
before we sign off with today's episode, Dave, you had something to add.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone that our website's up. It's RogueAgentRadio.com. On there, you'll find all the links to all the ways to stalk us through social media. Also find where to find the podcasts in YouTube or Podbean or iTunes, and learn a little bit about us and the show. Additionally, I did get the news blog. So it's a podcast news blog up and running. So if you check that out, you'll also be able to subscribe to what we call the newsletter at the bottom of it. And you'll get updates on whenever we add something to that blog, whether it's a new podcast or one of Boom's new videos or specific news from Rogue Agent Radio. Once that goes on there, you'll be the first to know. So go on the website, check out the blog, sign up for the newsletter, and you guys will be kept in the loop on everything that we're going to have going on for this community. So looking forward to the beta and getting all of this kind of driving to create this community we all want.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for episode 8 of Rogue Agent Radio. Just like Dave said, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, rate, review, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. If you want to follow all the agents while we're not on the show, you can hit us up on Twitter. Dave is at Deep Fried Dave. Doom is at Blessed Doom with an underscore. And yours truly is at Boom Slang with 2 G's and an underscore at the end. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Doom. And thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, maintain radio silence and watch your corners, agents.
Rogue protocol initiated.